Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one!
Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor.
Worked out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back on this Tuesday. Thanks a lot for joining us and jumping on. Kevin Brockway is here. Later on, we'll talk to the great Mike DeCourcy. Chronic Hoosier will stop by. And we thanks for you guys being here. Kevin, how are you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, back from last week in Florida, and unfortunately that Michigan State result not quite what Indiana wanted. And as we know, it's going to be tough sledding for the rest of the season, beginning this week with Ohio State as well.
Thanks, Wyatt, jumping on. Thanks to everybody jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Dwayne, how you doing, brother, down south? Wyatt, down at Vincennes, thank you very much for jumping on. Yeah, you got to get things turned around. You had the pressers yesterday, which we'll get to all that stuff. But not a lot of answers, to be honest with you.
No.
And at this stage, I think it's time for some answers. But a lot of stuff going on to talk about. The Red Sox, they're up 2-1 over the Astros. They won 12-3 last night, and largely in part to this shot, man. Let's let her roll, John, the producer.
Schwarber hits it a ton into right at the wall. Another grand slam.
Oh, you can let that ride. I love listening to that crowd roar. And it's another grand. Of course, when he went to Boston, I'm like, oh my God, that's like allowing another team to have a guy legally that's juiced on steroids. Not that he is. That's not what I meant. What I mean is you give him that right field short front porch that they have in Boston. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm like, no butt balls for home runs.
Yeah, you have. Well, I think the thing in that ballpark is you have to kind of wrap it around the pole because it does jut out a little bit. But if you can hit the ball right down the line there, yeah, you can hit a ton of home runs if you just really pull the ball and tuck it inside Pesky's pole there, which he has done. And I mean, he's had an amazing season, even with the Nationals. And remember, he missed about 4-6 games with 4-6 weeks with a hamstring issue, and he's still between Boston and Washington probably hit over 30 home runs, and he's doing it in the postseason as well in the big moments. And that says a lot about the former IU product. I was talking to Greg Campbell, the SID, too. Apparently, Scott Rowland is still doing some stuff with the IU baseball program. And
yeah, he is.
He'd be a neat guy to talk to because of the fact that, if you look at Rowland, he's getting closer on the Hall of Fame ballot. I mean, he's close to 50% now on the ballots, and he's got about 4 or 5 years left on that ballot. You never know. He might sneak in.
Absolutely. I'd love to see it. But, yeah, he lives here in Bloomington, so he's still a part of the team. Absolutely. Let's see. Ross said that can't believe his Cubs got rid of Schwarber.
Yeah.
They got rid of everybody, unfortunately. But
they did. They cleaned house. But isn't Schwarber a free agent? He could go back.
What's going on with Dick Vitale?
Dick Vitale announced yesterday that he has lymphoma, but he said it's a curable. I texted him yesterday, and I guess it's his second cancer announcement because he had a melanoma over the summer that was treated. But he said that it has a 90% cure rate. He's still going to be able to broadcast games, and I sent him a text of well wishes, just saying that you have boundless energy and you've got this. And he gave me a little heart back. He thanked me because he's, as you know, a good dude, has been on the show with us.
Yeah, I'm going to text him here in a second to send some good wishes as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, he lives in Florida, so that's not really an uncommon thing for someone who lives in Florida.
Melanoma, yeah. The lymphoma
his age, he's 80 years old.
81, so, yeah. I think he's 81 now, yeah. But he's incredibly active. I mean, he plays tennis. He's just, he's
last year when he was here doing a game, or was it the year before? It was for when Bob Knight returned. When he came back out of his little area, he had all these flyers he had for people about his gala.
Yeah.
And his briefcase, I swear to God, had to weigh 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And he set it down and he's, here, hold it. I ended up carrying his damn briefcase over to the table. And I'm like, God damn it. How does he carry this?
Yeah. No, he's,
but man,
but it's amazing if, I think the secret is just, staying active in daily exercise. I don't know, if you saw that, a little off topic here, but Rolling Stones concert at SoFi Stadium, Mick Jagger, 78 years old, still on stage doing his thing. But nowadays, people, are active. They're, if you stay active and you stay mobile, you can really kind of prolong that fountain of youth.
Absolutely. Let's see if hopefully he can. A lot of other things going on. The Titans 34-31 over the Bills last night.
Wild game.
Wild and wacky game.
A lot of lead changes. It was back and forth. And, the Bills had the chance. It was inside the 3 yardage, a short yardage situation. They could have kicked a field goal and tied and sent the game to overtime, but they went for it with about 30 seconds left, thinking that they would get the first down and maybe get the touchdown after that and win in regulation, but they got stuffed on the 4th down play.
Tim says Schwarber went 430 feet, but and if I was a fan of the Bills, I know there's probably half of them that are PO'd that they did that, and the I would have. I'm not a Bills fan, so I don't have the heart in, but I wouldn't have a problem with them doing that. They're trying to win the game.
Yeah,
it's no different than a lot of other scenarios because where was the game played?
The game was played in Tennessee. Yeah.
You're on the road, you go for the win. That's just the rule of thumb all the time. So it's like if you need a 2-point conversion, you go for it, whatever the case is. If you're on the road, and you got to try. Now you got to make sure you got the right play called.
Yeah, you had a good running quarterback in Josh Allen, but the issue was the left guard on the play got blown up by I think Sermons from Tennessee just completely blew him up and got in there and knocked Allen off balance and knocked him backwards. So. I mean, it was just execution, as we heard a lot from Nick Sheridan yesterday, right? Execution.
Yeah, we'll hear more from that later. The coaches, we heard them speak yesterday, so we'll hear from all of them today. Tom Allen, one of those, of course, along with Charlton Warren. I'm really trying to get – every time I say his name, Kevin, you haven't been here, I would say a former Reds pitcher's name. It would get in my mind. Don't say it. I got it out of my mind, so don't say it. But a long time ago, I'm sure you know who the pitcher was.
Yep. He's one of the nasty boys.
Yes. And I'm like, I bet you the first 3 or 4 times I was saying his name, I would say that name. And I don't want to say it anymore because I don't want it in my head. But Charlton Warren, we'll hear from him as well.
Yes.
And
has done a very impressive job with that defense, I think.
Especially for his first year. I agree.
Yeah, very good job with the defense.
Are they better than last year defensively, do you think?
Well, I think what they are is, I think they're more sound. They don't give up the big plays. I think the issue is they're not making the game-breaking plays. But I think part of that, too, is the fact that the injuries to people like Tywod Mullen, Reese Taylor, guys that are capable of making those big plays, Monster Matthews early in the season, and not having Jamar Johnson, who was a really good ball-hawking safety. So it's kind of different because, Womack blitzed a lot and he blitzed in the secondary and stuff. And sometimes when you do that, you leave yourself open for the big play. And that's what Charlton Warren talked about yesterday in the press conference about kind of picking and choosing when to attack. And the front seven has been the strength of this defense this year with Micah McFadden, with Ryder Anderson, Cam Jones, Weston Kramer, DeMarcus Elliott. And they're all playing really well. So this year they can get pressure from the, 4-man rush. Or bring a linebacker to bring in McFadden. But, the problem is the offense is giving away points. Just plain and simple. I looked this up yesterday. They've given up 79 points in Big Ten play. 21 of those points were on pick sixes.
Oh, yeah.
Defense has given up 58 points. The defense has given up less than 20 points per game. But when you gift 21 points in Big Ten games because of pick sixes, I mean, it's just so hard.
How many? How many is the offense given with the 3 pick sixes? Is that it?
Yeah, the 3 pick sixes, 2 against Iowa, and then 1 last week against Michigan State. So, and that's not counting the countless other turnovers that have given teams short fields. But just those pick sixes alone, those 3, that's 21 out of 79 points they've given up on Big Ten play have been gifted by the offense.
I don't know what it is, but they just don't seem I did a deal with Mitchell Page last night, and he just kept talking about the receivers and everyone that they're not in sync. I forget the word that he used, but they're not on the same page. And you watch Ty Freifogel, who was all American type receiver last year, all Big Ten, and you have that coming back, and he's just not been the same player. And I don't know what it is, because he's had too many balls off of his hands that he could have made catches that were probably easier than some of the catches he made last season.
Yeah, no, it's been a little confounding. I mean, I think with Ty, he obviously has the chemistry with Penix, maybe that he doesn't have with Tuttle in terms of the ball. But I think all the receivers in general, too, and I was rewatching, they had some of that game on FS1, just a number of 50-50 balls that they did not come down with. And Miles Marshall has been a disappointment this season. Javon Swinton.
See, how are they a disappointment, though? I'm just asking, because are they just not getting the ball?
Well, you're expecting him to take the step forward, but like I said, and Tom Allen said after the game on Saturday, he said he was screaming in his headset, "Somebody make a play!" To the receivers. It's really been the receivers this year have definitely been it's definitely been an issue, just them getting to the 50-50 balls, them creating separation. And I think that's really where you missed DJ Matthews, because he was that one dynamic guy that could open things up. And the torn ACL against Western Kentucky, which was the last win, that proved to be a pretty costly win, because I think he was the one guy that could had that playmaking ability that you had. But Freifogel has not done it. I mean, he has not progressed. Miles Marshall, I say he's disappointed because he has not progressed. He has not, you look at the numbers, they're not, up from last year. Ty Freifogel's are down from last year. So it's kind of a production deal. You got to produce.
Absolutely. And they need to produce quickly, because the Ohio State Buckeyes come calling this week, another top 10 team.
Yeah.
Has any team in your knowledge ever played this many top 10 teams in this period of time, especially to open the season? It is remarkable. Playing in the Big Ten East has always been a juggernaut, so you always have that a little bit. But now you got Cincinnati and all Michigan State, and now Michigan's kind of back.
Yeah, it's definitely been a front-loaded schedule. I think coming in, you expected it to be a front-loaded schedule, but not this front-loaded, because you didn't expect Michigan State to have the kind of season it's having. But certainly Cincinnati and Iowa. I don't think people thought that Iowa was going to be as strong as they were either. But and Iowa took a step back with that Purdue loss.
I don't think they're that strong. That's the thing. They don't, because they don't have a very good offense.
Yeah,
I think they're probably a top 15 team.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Cincinnati is a top 20 team, maybe. I still think they're a top 20 team.
Number 2 in the country.
That's because they've
won. Yeah. No question. Wouldn't it be something if Cincinnati was in the CFP championship game in Indianapolis?
Man. Well, we got to take a break. Mike DeCourcy coming up next. We'll have all kinds of stuff.
I'm sure Mike would be down for that. Yeah.
What's that?
Mike would be down for Cincinnati to be in the CFP title game in Indianapolis.
Oh, there you go. Hey, let's take a break. We'll be back right after this. We're brought to you, of course, by the great folks at Andy Moore Honda. If you're looking for a car, man, no better time. Get out to Andy Moore Honda. They've got brand new Pilots 21s and 22s with 0% APR financing, 48 months, $0 down. Same thing for the Pilot, like I said, 20 had a Passport as well. So get more to your door with AndyMoore.com. We're back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration or just man, that segment just freaking flew.
Yeah.
Another thing to mention they didn't mention yesterday, Ed Orgeron, LSU's coach,
Yeah.
came
didn't
to
talk
an
about that?
agreement. No.
Yeah, came to
Separation
agreement.
agreement. And what about did he talk about the Tennessee fans or no?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Not really, though. Not in depth, I don't think, did we?
No, I
We're
mean,
talking about it again.
yeah, it's not like we spent a whole hour talking about it or anything. Not that you need to.
Coach O.
What all did they do?
Who, Tennessee?
Yeah.
The fans were throwing trash on the field while there was still time left.
They were
What were they
upset
talking
about they were upset about a replay review or something.
Yeah, it was like a fourth down that they thought was a first down or something. I don't know.
Rocky Top, oh, Rocky Top. Every time Thompson Bowling Arena, Mike, it's and I've covered a few games. I covered a few games at Neyland. They used to fly me out for football, like when I first started there. So I went. I think it was in 05 when that kid Will Hoyt hit that field goal against the Gators. Pure old Rocky Top down. Knoxville's a good town.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I saw. Oh, man.
Calhoun's on the river, get some ribs. Yeah.
There he is, Mikey D. Were you really asleep the other night?
No, of course not.
I didn't think so, but I was like, I just wanted to text
teasing
back.
you.
I'm like, oh, man. I didn't know. I was like going,
No,
I
God. I was just teasing you.
I didn't think you would have been. I texted. Oh, I got to wait to tell the story later. But yeah, I texted him during the Steelers game the other night. I'm like, oh, man.
Here
it's
we
funny.
go, Steelers. Here we go. Right.
You got all the fight songs this morning.
All right, here we go.
Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. Make sure if you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, check out Cheryl Sizemore. She's got over 2 decades of experience. Could be the difference in you getting the home you want. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore at 317-298-0961 or Cheryl at IndieHomePros.com. We welcome in Mike DeCourcy now, the great Mike. How are you, sir?
I am well, Jim. How are you?
Doing fine, doing a lot better. Kevin is here with me as always. I thought that I woke Mike up the other night. I didn't think I'm like, the Steelers game was going on and it was at the very end and it was a tight game. And I'm like, man, I thought they were going to get screwed out of that. And I sent a text to Mike because I'm thinking, I guarantee I know he's awake. And he sent a text back. He was kidding. And I thought, oh God, well, he may have been asleep. I was like, oh man, I was nervous until the day. I was like, man, I hope I didn't wake him up.
I said, what makes you think I'd be awake?
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
yeah. I was like,
funny.
man, I hope I didn't wake him up. I'd feel so bad.
He did
'Cause I
not
never
wake
do
me
that.
up. Spoiler alert. I did, that when that game was over, it was so close and really unnerving that when it was over, I said, I knew I wasn't going to get to sleep for a while. And I was watching the replay of the final Seahawks play that TJ Watt stripped the ball from the quarterback. And I noticed that on the end zone replay, you could see it was amazing. The Seahawks actually used 3 players. They double teamed him. And then the running back, when TJ still pushed in, the running back came over and tried to jam things up before he released. And then then when Geno Smith started up the field to try to get some room to throw, Watt came back around. So three players have already dealt with him. 4th, when he was coming back around, tried to get him. So 4 different guys tried to stop him on that play, and he still stripped the ball off of Geno Smith and set up the winning field goal. So I thought, you know what? I'll write about that. So I wrote about that for Sporting News because I knew I wasn't getting to sleep for quite a while.
Man, yeah, that was a close game. Then, of course, last night there was, talking about the other football game, that was a close one as well. We were talking about that earlier with the Bills and the Titans. The Titans win as the Bills couldn't get it across the line there. I didn't get to watch that game.
I did get to see the I turned it on the final drive, and so I saw Josh Allen made an unbelievable effort to try to get the first down with his third down scramble that got them to the edge of the line. It was fourth and probably half a yard, and he tried a quarterback sneak, and he tried to go under the pile, which was a mistake. You go under the pile, you expose yourself to being collapsed on, and he slipped, and so he was stopped. You have to go through or over. If you go down, I mean, your knees are right there. There's a very good chance you're going to wind up being stopped, and that's what happened. He tried to go down.
I thought, because I watched it in real time, Mike, I thought that he didn't have a chance because I thought the left guard just got blown up on that play. Dawkins and Sermons, he got so much penetration that he couldn't even get his footing if you looked at it. Like he was.
Yeah, you have to in a situation like that. I mean, all he has to do is go over the pile. Yeah. I also, I don't think the Bills had a timeout at that point. Am I right about that? I don't think they did.
Oh, no, they had one. No, they had one.
They did have one. Yeah, so I guess it wasn't a bad call from that standpoint. If they had one to stop the clock and start over, then I guess it was fine. Yeah. But you have to go into daylight. You can't, if you go down, if you go under, it just puts you at too much risk of being stopped.
Absolutely. And then what else did I had? Oh, Ed Orgeron. Ed Orgeron news from LSU. They'll be parting ways, of course. No surprise there, as things are not. They have had problems, deep problems, way back since Les Miles. And those problems, I think, continued. And I don't know how much has been done. I'm not down there. I don't follow them. I don't know how much has even been done to try to rectify that, but their second coach is out again.
Well, this isn't the first time that he's been removed from a head coaching position. I mean, he's obviously a tremendous recruiter, but I don't think he manages very well. I'm not surprised that a program that has been as volatile as LSU. I mean, you need somebody like Saban, somebody who has his act together. And
they had him, didn't they?
Well, they did have Saban, absolutely, but he and they won a championship, but
they lost him.
Yeah, he wanted to try the NFL, and unfortunately, he didn't succeed there, and so now there he is. He had to try a really difficult landing place in Alabama, of all places. I mean, that's a tough program to turn around,
Yeah, recruiting's hard. Nobody wants to go play. Nobody wants to go to Alabama. That's just terrible place.
I think there's and from being in Baton Rouge many times when I covered the SEC, and Mike Anderson's a great place to eat, by the way, char-grilled oysters, but it was my favorite thing to do. But it's, fast and easy town, Huey Long, right? A lot of corruption, it's kind of like live as you live there. So I think the culture, where you talk about the culture there, it's kind of endemic of that. And Ed Orgeron, I don't know if you read some of the off the field stuff that he said too, which was as damning as on the field in terms of, how they performed the last 2 years. So yeah, I agree. You kind of need an adult in the room there because you can get swept up in it. We saw with LSU basketball too. I mean, how many scandal stories have we seen at LSU basketball over the years, including the current one?
Exactly. Yeah.
The whole state of Louisiana. What are you talking about?
I'm not here to condemn the whole state of Louisiana.
No, I'm just Howie Long or Huey Long. Huey Long. Yeah, Huey Long.
Every man
goes way back.
Yep.
How about Nick Rolovich, Washington State, getting canned mid-season because he would not get the COVID vaccination?
$3.5 million a year, roughly, he was earning.
Well, I mean you got to be absolutely nuts. You have to be out of your mind.
That is maybe I've been in this business for 40 years. Irrespective of crime and things like that, I mean, put that in another, those kinds of things that have occurred in the sports world, take that into another realm. I think this has to be the single most ridiculous story that I've encountered in 40 years. I can't think of anything that's as preposterous as this. Something that, I mean, think about this. Like, you have a kid, right? Like, one of the first things they do for kids, like at a certain age, is stick a needle in their arm to vaccinate them against this, that, and the other thing. You're a 40-something-year-old man, and you can't take a needle in the arm to get medicine that has been demonstrated to improve one's own health prospects and the health prospects of the community, in order to retain a $3.5 million a year job. I mean, I can't imagine anything more ridiculous than that.
Well, there's a certain NBA player that is
that was my next.
Even more.
I was going to bring Kyrie up. I was going to bring Kyrie up next. He's the next example trying to do that, and he's probably set to lose a lot more. I don't know what his.
He is.
I
mean, I think he.
I know it's a lot more than $3 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think he makes something like $35 or $40 million a year, some crazy number. But in Kyrie's case, he's done enough to sort of set up his that this is not a surprise from him. I mean, when you go back and he's talking about the flat earth and all that, which wasn't that long ago. So, he kind of had a track record that suggested maybe this was possible. But you're a football coach. You're a leader of young men, and you don't have the and the willingness to do what's asked of you. I mean, think about that. I spent a lot of last evening debating this, and I don't know why I do this, but I spent a lot of last evening debating this with people on Twitter after I sort of made a joke about the fact that Rolovich had done this. I spent a lot of last night debating with people, and it really comes down to the fact that excuse me, that you're just you're being asked to do something by your employer, and we're all asked to do things all the time by our employers that we may or may not be crazy about doing in that particular moment. But we do them because that's what being employed means. You are asked to do things, and in exchange for doing those things, most of which you are happy to do, but sometimes you're not, in exchange for that, they give you money. That's how being employed works.
Exactly. And I don't get it. I mean, I think sometimes some people just want to be different, and they want to for whatever reason, think that they're above everyone else. And go ahead. Well, give that money to me. I'll take it.
We'll start a plan. Jim Coyle for Washington State football coach. I'm all for it.
Hey, I'll take it. I used to live in Washington State for a while when my last TV job was in Kennewick, Washington. So it wasn't too far from there.
There you go. So right away, the head coach at Washington State becomes like 100% more intelligent. So, I mean, I'm all for it.
Oh, I don't know about that still, maybe. And how about the fans in Tennessee? Oh, what an absolute poor display of everything down there, delaying the final it was less than a minute, but delaying that for 20 minutes, throwing stuff. And then at the end, they were interviewing Lane Kiffin, and he held up the scuffed up range ball. Golf ball that someone had thrown. That is absolutely asinine. I mean, those people, you've got to be really a real ignorant person to throw a golf ball at someone. I mean, throwing a paper cup, all right, that's frustration. But anything that could cause damage, you have to be an absolute idiot. But you got to be an idiot to throw anything on the field, personally, in my opinion. I don't care if it's paper or not.
It's interesting, that golf ball thing. That ball, there's video of that ball landing at his feet. He's during the melee, the fan melee or whatever. You can see the ball lands at his feet, and he reaches over and picks it up, and he shows it, I think, to a policeman who at that point was guarding him. That's inexcusable. But as bad as that was, $250,000 fine. Kentucky got that much for a field storming.
It should be $500,000.
I mean, it should have started at that. How does the SEC justify that? That's absurd. That is indefensible. repeat offender of Kentucky, whatever, that's not good enough. I mean, just because, Kentucky's had more than one, so they get $250,000. That's nonsense.
Yep.
What it should have started at this, and I wrote about this if you want to read, in a lot of leagues, cultures, international soccer, that sort of thing. If your fans misbehave at a certain level, they shut the doors and they won't let fans in the building as punishment. It happened to England yesterday, as a matter of fact. England, they had the Euro 2020 final in Wembley Stadium in July, and a large number of England fans basically crashed the gates and caused a lot of problems. And Wembley, the England officials, whatever, weren't prepared for it and didn't handle it. So the UEFA, the governing body, said the next England game has to be behind closed doors. Mexico has a problem with the homophobic fan chant that they've been doing for years, and they keep getting warned over and over again to stop doing the chant. And if you don't stop, we're going to shut the doors on you. And so they did in September play a home World Cup qualifier against Jamaica in an empty stadium. That's what should have been threatened against Tennessee. They should have been warned that if something like this recurs, that Neyland would be empty for the next Volunteers football game after that happens. Instead, they got a measly $250,000 fine. And who knows what happens next time? Next time you double it or whatever? That's not good enough. I was very disappointed in the SEC.
Yeah, that's just, there has to be more. Someone has to, it's not any of the players or coaches. I don't know how you can even blame the administration. You've got a bunch of rabid fans, but man, they have to start doing some putting people through metal detectors. Not that would catch a golf ball, but man, things are getting rough down in Tennessee. They're not. I don't understand why they can get that. Was it Lane Kiffin losing to Lane Kiffin? What set that off?
I think that probably had a lot to do with it. Kiffin is not popular there, and
so not popular a lot of places.
yes, but
Oakland, Los Angeles. I can go down the line.
Well, there was a replay review, right, that went against them that was kind of controversial. I think that spurred it.
Yeah, that's what ignited it. There was a play on which they were 4th and 24. They threw a pass. I think it was to a tight end, and the tight end made a nice effort to try to get to the line to gain, and it looked really close. And I could see that have gone either way. Although I never saw a close up. I only saw the broader view in the replay packages that were shown of the throwing incidents. They only overshowed the initial effort, and so I never saw it close up. But it was very close, so I can understand why fans would be frustrated. That's why you boo. That's why you yell. That's why you jeer. That's why you tell the refs they did a terrible job. That's fine. None of that is problematic.
Heckling is great. Heckling is as much as part of sports as the sport themselves. Go at it. Yell. The Spike Lee, Reggie Miller deal back in the day, back and forth, all verbal, all great. And today they could probably walk up and laugh at each other and shake hands.
Right.
But if that person throws a golf ball at that guy, they're probably not going to walk up and shake hands.
Yeah. If that golf ball had been aimed better, more accurately, I guess.
Sounds like one of my shots.
Or maybe if the aim was good and the person didn't really want to hit Kiffin, but wanted to get it there near him. But let's say the aim had been worse. So I don't really know the intent there. But if the aim had been in a particular direction, he could have been seriously injured. I looked it up when I was writing, and it's very uncommon for a flying golf ball to kill someone. It's not that it's never happened. It happened in Australia this year alone. But it's highly unlikely that it would have done that much damage, but it very easily could have broken a tooth, damaged his eye. There are lots of things that could have happened.
From that distance. Hey, we got to take a quick break. Well, Mike DeCourcy is with us, Kevin Brockway. We'll see what Mike's working on when we come back. You're listening to the Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Cheryl Sizemore, Remax Realty. Make sure you check out Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Back with more after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Hey, we all need insurance.
I got the preseason basketball poll pulled up also. We can talk about that.
I have what did I
AP
learn
is,
on Ted Lasso?
Yeah.
I learned something on Ted Lasso that I was going to say, and I forgot that I did not. Oh, I did not know, and I feel stupid, which I feel that way a lot, that they tore down the old Wembley Stadium and built a new one until I watched Ted Lasso. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's sort of like Madison Square Garden has had 2-3 iterations.
Yeah. But I did not know they had done that. And I was just like Ted Lasso. I remember when Freddie Mercury stood up here. That was the old Wembley. I'm like, oh, I didn't know they tore it down.
I thought the old Wembley burned down, or the fans burned it down, or is that something else?
No.
Mike, do you know what I'm referring to, or is that something?
Again?
Was there a soccer stadium in Europe that was burned down by the fans?
That's not a story I know.
Okay, maybe I heard that as hearsay from somebody else.
You ever see the 30 for 30 on Hillsborough?
Yeah.
Heller?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
very
was
bad.
amazing. Yeah, amazingly well done. Yeah. That's where people got crushed to death in the cow pens and stuff back in 1989.
Polish soccer fans set fire in the stands to protest. That's all I pull up.
Polish.
Of course they
I don't know if that's where I heard that or not, but who knows?
My people.
Holy God. Polish champions Legia Warsaw were recently punished by for the racist behavior of their fans during a match against the New States. Team was fined in Hanespot. Well, the fans fought back, gathering in one section of the stadium to create a flaming protest. That picture is wild. That's crazy. Oh my God, the stands, that can't be right. That cannot be fire. There's people in there. But it looks like the stands are on fire.
They might have some flares.
All at the same time.
All right, here we go.
For 0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down. Or how about a brand new 2021 Honda Passport? Also 0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Make sure you get out and check out Southern Stone. I was actually there last night doing a show with Mitchell Page. Had the special. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I still have some of it left. But get out. Corner of Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington, Southern Stone. Great food with a Southern charm. That's where the Indiana basketball and football coach shows are as well. Welcome back. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Big Ten, and Fox is with us, along with Kevin Brockway. Poll came out yesterday, Kevin. You saw, you guys, the college basketball poll. Indiana in receiving vote in the second. I guess that makes them 27th. I think they were second out in receiving votes.
Yep, 41 votes. And Gonzaga number 1, UCLA number 2, Michigan 6, Purdue 7, Illinois 11. So Big Ten represent Ohio State 17. You got Maryland 21, and that's it. Michigan State and Indiana, the first 2 receiving votes. So quite a few Big Ten teams on the poll and receiving votes.
What does Gonzaga have coming back, Mike, that they're are they truly a number one team? I thought that they lost some guys.
They did, but they have back Drew Timme, who was their All-American center last year. They have Andrew Nemhard, who began his career at Florida and came to Gonzaga as a transfer, and last year was basically their secondary point guard, but started. And they used 2 point guards in their starting lineup, so they have those two. They add a very gifted shooting guard named Hunter Salas, 6'5" wing, who's in a lot of first round draft projections, and they brought in as well Chet Holmgren, 7 foot wing. He's probably a stretch 4 is what you'd call him. Really skilled, shoots the ball really well, dynamic, very lean. That's going to be interesting to how he is defended by colleges, because he moves really well. It's hard. It's like you think about someone like Lamar Jackson, and he's out there. People all the time worry about the risk of him running with the football all the time, and it's like, yeah, but you got to catch him to hit him. It's kind of like that with Chet Holmgren. I mean, he's really thin. I mean, he makes Kevin Durant look like Mr. America. But he like KD, he moves really well, and it's hard to catch him to put a body on him. And so he makes a big difference. So that's why Gonzaga is the preseason number one. But there's also the fact that there's some really good teams coming back, and a lot of them are in the Big Ten. But there's no one that has this group of players like Baylor did coming back last year, or Gonzaga did, where you have this established line of success. I mean, Baylor and Gonzaga from 2020 to 21 both brought back the core of teams that were either firmly number one seeds or right on the order of being number one seeds in the 2020 season. Obviously, we didn't have a tournament, so we never learned whether they would have been ones. But on the mock brackets, they both were established as that. We don't have anybody like that. I mean, we have UCLA bringing back all of the players from the team that made the Final Four, nearly all from the team that made the Final Four. And we expect that they'll be very good, but we also have to remember that they were an 11 seed to start the tournament. So essentially what you have to have from UCLA, who the popular top 5 pick and a lot of people number 2, UCLA has to be the team they were in March and not the team they were, say, in February. Not a bad team, but not that team. And so there's a little bit of projection there. Whereas with Gonzaga, they have been highly successful. They bring in 2 elite recruits. They're going to have the opportunity to prove themselves in November and December, and then they're going to play in a league that's not as strong, which it's really hard to do that inverse season where you have to be really good at the start and you can get by without being great in January, February. But it does provide them the opportunity, if they're not perfect at the start of the year, to get a lot better during those 2 months.
Gonzaga, UCLA, that should be another epic kind of rematch too. That'll be nice in the non-conference schedule.
Absolutely. I think Gonzaga also plays Duke, if I remember correctly. I believe in the East somewhere, maybe the Garden, maybe Brooklyn. I'm not sure, but
I like to have that ticket.
Yeah, exactly. So they're challenging themselves. I think they might also have a game against Texas, which is expected to be significantly better with the players they brought in. Marcus Carr from Minnesota to run the show there. Those of us who've watched Big Ten know that Marcus is really talented. Marcus has yet to play for a highly successful team. He played at Pitt. They were awful. He played at Minnesota. They were okay. But he hasn't played for a highly successful team. It's a different deal. Just as Johnny Juzang, do you name him a first-team All-American because at UCLA last year in maybe late February and certainly in the NCAA tournament, he was phenomenal. But he wasn't that guy for the whole year. And being that guy for a whole year is really a different deal. It's a big leap. Trace has been that guy. And he may have to change his game a little bit to succeed this year. We'll see. He certainly doesn't have to change his game to be a better college player, but if he wants to make this time at Indiana worth his while, he has to change his game. He's got to be better away from the bucket. But we know what his baseline is. He's done it for a whole year against team defenses that ganged up on him, and it didn't matter. He's that good. We know what to expect of him. But Juzang, we know what his best is, but can he handle the everyday of, yep, I got to play. I got to be good tonight for UCLA to be good.
In the AP poll, here's something I just find kind of ironic. The top 10 in this current AP top 10, 3 of the teams that are in there were not ranked in the last poll, I assume, from looking at this. And those 3 teams are UCLA, Kentucky, and Duke.
Amazing. Hey,
it's shocking.
2020-21 was a different season, as we know. It had an impact. You know, I spent last Monday with Mike Krzyzewski, and we talked about the challenges that season had on how he typically builds a program. And I think the COVID challenges were exacerbated for teams that are largely freshmen, as was the case at Duke last year, Kentucky. They had no summer, very little in terms of preseason in September, early October. It was really difficult. There was a lot of uncertainty about when the season would begin for a long time. And so it was just different. And this year, everybody's pretty much back to normal. I mean, obviously, some places vaccine mandates and that sort of thing. Some places, you have to be careful a little bit. They're exercising caution, I should say. But by and large, they had the summer. Duke had their freshmen on campus for all of June, getting them indoctrinated into the program. So it's totally different for those programs than it was a year ago. And I will tell you this as well, that Duke had some very talented freshmen last year. They didn't have anyone like Paolo Banchero. What an impressive talent he is. Now preseason ACC Player of the Year. He's a really gifted player. I compared Chet Holmgren to Durant earlier in terms of physicality. Banchero is 6'10", built like an NBA power forward. I mean, like now. I mean, I don't mean like if he puts on 15, 20 pounds. I mean now. He's already got that body, and he moves like a wing. He runs and moves and handles and shoots like a big time NBA wing. So really gifted player. Going to be exciting to see how he does.
I missed. I could go on farther though. A couple of North Carolina is in the poll, not ranked at the end of the season. Maryland. That's the last of the really truly big ones, but those are blue bloods, man.
I know.
4 blue bloods. Wow, that's crazy. And then, daggone, it was something else. But I got too many things in my head. But I forgot.
Ted Lasso, you're going to talk about, right? Oh no, did you already talk about Ted Lasso? Yeah.
Yeah. No. So, what are you working on, Mike?
Well, I'm working on a piece. Carly Lloyd will play her final game for the United States women's national team.
How long has she played?
Tuesday. She has been on, I think she had her first cap around 2006 or 7, somewhere around there. She's got, I believe she has over 300 caps now. She's one of the few players in American history who scored more than 100 goals. She won Olympic gold in 2012 and 2008 and 2012. She was the Women's Player of the Year, I believe, 2016. Won the World Cup. Was the key player in the World Cup in 2015, and then a serious contributor in 2019. One of the great women's players of all time. And my assignment from our soccer editor is, okay, like, where's she rank among the greatest U.S. women's national team players. Where's she fall on the list? So working on that in advance of next Tuesday, putting together our preseason top 25 for the men in college basketball, as well as our All-America team, our preseason All-America team.
When's your top 25 come out?
It will come out Monday of next week, I believe.
Perfect.
So we're working on that as well, and pretty much some longer term projects that I've got on the plate as well.
Perfect. Kevin, how about you?
Yeah, just basically some football stuff, and also working on our Big Ten. We're going to do men's and women's preview basketball pages. So that's on the horizon within the next couple of weeks. So been busy on that. Going to write probably a lot about the bigs in the Big Ten conference for the men's centerpiece. Just the plethora of talent across the league between Kofi and Trace Jackson Davis and EJ Liddell, and you got a bunch of them coming back that are makes it Travion Williams, that makes this the preeminent front court league, right?
Hunter Dickinson saying, "What about me?"
Hunter Dickinson too. Yeah, forgot about him, but I put in a photo request for him. So yeah, tons of guys, right? It just seems like it's a league that produces big guys.
Hey, was it just me, or did Big Ten Basketball Media Day seem to go faster for on the one day? And that includes adding the women. I could not believe how quickly it seemed to go, because basketball or football seemed like it just, and I was there for both days, but it just seemed like it drug on. This was like boom. And I'm like, this is over? Are you kidding me? And they added the women for the first time this year. So it was kind of double everything. It surely did not seem that way to me, though.
Well, it did go fast, but I think it's when you're enjoying yourself, and enjoying getting a chance to talk to the basketball people. I will say that I have always appreciated the opportunity to cover basketball. I just enjoy the people in the game a great deal. I've gotten a chance to do it now for about 35 years, and most of the people in basketball are really easy to deal with. I don't ever take that for granted, because I covered football and it's a little tougher.
Absolutely. Let's see. I think I had one other thing, but
you tried Major League Baseball spring training. I mean, that's really tough for even in spring training. But Major League Baseball, when I covered the Red Sox one year, back in the Dan Duquette days, that was no picnic.
Here's Kevin. You'll find this one of notice. The state of Florida has no football teams ranked in the AP Top 25 for the first time in a decade.
Yeah, kind of. I saw that, and I think I remember back then that was the Gators. Those were during the Will Muschamp years. Al Golden might have been at Miami, and was Jimbo was still at FSU. They must have just had a down year that year, because Jimbo won the national title in 2013, but that was probably pre-Jameis, where they were going through some rebuilding too. But that makes sense. Yeah, but it's been a while for the big three. But really, I mean, since the 1990s and the early 2000s, the big three is just in the state of Florida. Miami, Florida State have not been this. I mean, Florida and Florida State have had some pockets, but it's just not the same as it was, where you had all three of those teams really cooking in the 1990s and early 2000s.
It shows how important that no matter what your program is, no matter how many banners you got, that you have to have the right coach. We've seen that at Alabama, and we were joking before about how easy it is at Alabama, and it certainly there are great advantages. But if you have the wrong coach, you can still not get there. And IU, obviously, that brings it home in football, in basketball, hasn't been able to settle on the right coach. And now maybe, based on everything we've seen to date, maybe they've got the right guy in Mike Woodson. Obviously, now it has to translate to actually playing games, but they have not, as they say in soccer, they have not put a foot wrong at IU since Mike took over.
Yeah, what's out of bounds again? I forget in soccer. What do they say? Out of bounds, into touch?
Yes. Then you can touch the ball. Yes.
That's out of bounds. It's into touch. I don't.
Yeah, you don't have to say that. You can say out of bounds.
Yeah.
one of the things that drives me crazy in soccer is like how everybody adopts the way the English talk about the game. like the field is a pitch. No, it's a field. You know, you don't have to say pitch. There's no law that says you have to say pitch. There are certain things that you can't, that you have no, like channel. Like there's no, a channel is like a space on the field. Where, like there's no, there's really no other term for that. That's a soccer term. But the way the English change the language of our sports into their language, no, you don't have to do that. Just because like talent is quality you can say talent, it's okay. You know, you don't have to do it just because they do that.
Yeah, it's like I guess that's where they used to pitch the hay or something in the fields. I don't know how. I'm trying to figure out how that came up to pitch. And it's like, I think match. They call it match.
Yes, I call it game all the time. In fact, I go out of my way.
Thank you, because I going back and forth. I mean, match. I'm like, I don't want to get caught saying the wrong thing because I didn't grow up with soccer, and so thank you for pointing that stuff out so I can use my Americanized standings.
They call standings a table. Okay, like you can call them standings. There's no rule. It's okay because they're standings. There's standings in the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB. There's standings in MLS and the
table of contents, like a table of contents.
It's amazing.
Just don't call it.
You do not have to speak like an Englishman to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Don't call a truck a lorry or an elevator a lift.
The loo.
No, you don't have to do that.
Where's the loo? I need the loo. Oh man, it's so funny. I love that. But Mike, we gotta let you go. Of course, I'm sure you're a busy guy and got to get out and get to it and get those articles in. But glad your Steelers pulled it out. And then I did not wake you up. Those are two things that I'm happy for this week. So, and we
appreciate it, guys.
Forward to seeing you again next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. The great Mike DeCourcy joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by the fine folks at Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. If you have trouble sleeping, snoring, or you know someone who does, reach out to our friends at Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. That's former Indiana basketball player Steve Green, who's a former dentist, Bob Knight's first recruit, no doubt, and Brian Evans. They are in Indianapolis, located at 4745 Statesman Drive, or you can get them at aurorasleep.com, and that's spelled A-R-O-R-A. It works, folks. I'm telling you. If you tell them you heard it on Indiana Sports Beat, you'll get a discount as well. We're back with more on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
If you're in the market for...
I can't believe I'm feeling... Chronic's in, man.
What up?
Dude, I was just getting ready to say, I can't believe I'm feeling okay today. I had a fall like 11 days ago, hit my back and my neck, and it had crippled me. And then yesterday I was feeling better, and like a dumbass, I participated in that media softball thing because I am a dumbass, and took 10 swings. And then went through the ground competition. I could not do it. And then I went and got acupuncture. Have you ever had acupuncture?
No, I haven't. I have not. I've heard great things about it. I've just never experienced it personally.
I think I'm going to recommend it. Because when I first left there yesterday, I felt like death. And by the time I got home, or that evening, I'm like, man, I'm usually dying right now. And I was like, okay, it feels good. I slept all night. It was glorious. I think I'm going to recommend it. I can't believe that it works, but I had an ex-girlfriend. I guess I should save this. How you been?
I'm doing awesome, man.
How's your knee coming?
Getting stronger every day.
You the man, brother. You the man. Are you able to go to work now?
Yeah, man. I took off 3 days. This entire time, blew the ACL, broke the leg, had the surgery. I missed 3 days of work. I was back in that following Monday. I did the surgery on a Wednesday.
He's a trooper.
You know, man, we celebrated. It's probably dumber than hell, but that's just kind of the nature of my gig.
Oh, dude, I broke 3 ribs before, and I was at work next day at 7 a.m.
You know, it's
got out of the ER at 2 a.m. and I was at work at 7.
It's just what we do, unfortunately. But no, doing better. Definitely doing better. It's one of those things like you experience. You're hurt, and sometimes just get moving and active and pushing it a little bit. Sometimes it's the breakthrough you need. So my problem is I push too hard, and then I have to shut it down and recover a little bit harder, and then rinse, repeat over and over again. But it's gradual progression's the key.
My concern is I think I may have a torn rotator cuff. That's as high as I can get my right arm.
That ain't good.
That's not
Place
good.
in Broad Ripple has wings, tender steaks,
No pain,
and
though. It's
seafood.
weird.
Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you. Brought to you, of course, by the great folks at Andy Moore Honda. If you're looking for a vehicle, it's a place to go, man. We've got some great cars for you there. Special deals. Brand new 21 and 22s Honda Pilots, all the trims, 0 APR financing, $0 down, or a 2021 Honda Passport, same deal. Nothing down, 0% APR financing. Talk about a great deal for a great car. Go to Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington. Welcome in the great Chronic Hoosier. How you doing, my friend?
Glad to be back, man. Glad I wasn't out there on the ball diamonds with you guys yesterday. Getting embarrassing myself, but it looked like everybody survived it, had a good time. Heard we've made some contact out there, so proud of y'all.
Try. Oh yeah, there were some of the younger guys that put it out. This one dude, I cannot remember who he was, but he was about 6'5" and jacked it. He hit one. The first time he hit a ball, it didn't go out, but I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. This guy's going to crush these, because it took you about Shonda, the coach, she was only standing about 15 feet away and pitching. And I'm like, damn. But it was a blast, I'll tell you. But I'll tell you, Don Fisher was out there with us. And I dropped a ball. So Don got to go to the finals. And damn it, he should have won that thing, the ground call competition. But dude was out there getting it, man. I'm convinced if I come back in a second life, I have to come back as Don Fisher. He's drinking from the fountain of youth. You still got Chronic? But anyway, Kevin, yeah, he's drinking from the fountain of youth, man. It was nuts.
Plays a lot of golf, doesn't he? Like he's active.
Yeah, but still, I mean, he was out there doing the things. And he looked like, I'm not kidding, he looked like a 40-year-old guy out there moving around. It's pretty amazing if you think about it. He must have a cryogenic chamber or something at home. Chronic, whenever you get back, just yell at me.
I'm in here. I don't know what happened to us there. Can you hear me?
Oh, cool. Yep. I was talking about Don Fisher. I was like, dude, he's drinking from the fountain of youth. I know we always say he looks young and he was out there with us, and I was hurt, so I couldn't do as well as I'd like to, but this dude was in there. He finished second in some fielding thing, but he was getting after it. Everybody else were like 19, 20, 21. That's who we were up against. These little teenagers. So I can't wait. I want to go back next year healthy, baby.
When you spend half your year on the golf course and the other half just watching IU football and basketball, that's a great recipe for a long and healthy life. Well, that avoid the media room food as well. I think Don's got it figured out. Now, that tall guy that was jacking it, that's my man Mike Glascott, I believe.
No, it wasn't Mike. Mike, no, Mike. Actually, he might get decent balls, but I don't think he got any out. He might have. No, this was a younger kid, and I can't think of his name. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I think he had to have played baseball. I mean, he was really crushing a couple. I think he's a student. I just can't remember his name. He was a student. But it was fun. Big thanks to Jeremy Rosenthal, the SID for softball, and Coach Shonda, of course. The girls were great, man. They had fun with it. Grace was my partner. I said, Grace, I'm sorry, I don't want to let you down, but it was a fun day. So hopefully they get to continue having a good season. Football season's underway, of course. Michigan State, a bad loss last week, Chronic. Now you got the Buckeyes coming in this week. That is not a get well recipe by any stretch of the imagination.
No, this is a pretty unenviable position for Indiana football right now. Yet again, a ranked opponent that Indiana was good enough to beat. At the same time, not good enough to put enough points on the board to win the game. It's become a recurring theme so far, at least against half of the ranked opponents they've played. It just unfortunate on a whole lot of different levels. I don't know that there's enough bodies left in the locker room or enough runway left on the schedule. But they painted themselves into a corner here, and bringing Ohio State in to Memorial Stadium for a primetime game probably isn't the recipe to get back on track. But I know that's probably not the sentiment in the locker room right now. This is a team that I think is capable of startling the Buckeyes. We've seen it time and time again so far, at least against Michigan State, at least against Cincinnati. It's really unfortunate they can't get the offense up just a couple ticks higher to be on par with the defense, because the defense is playing well enough to win ball games right now. Unfortunately, they can't score the football at a rate that the offense needs in order to overcome some of the deficiencies. So you got a sense there's a little frustration in yesterday's press conference. They were certainly pragmatic about what's happening, why it's happening. They're just not executing. At the end of the day, though, it's the responsibility of the staff to get the team in the position to win. A matter of play calls and training and the conditioning that leads up to those calls being made. It ain't there yet, so we'll see. We've talked for years. Indiana's due. At some point, they're due for the Buckeyes. We saw it with the Wolverines last year. We saw it with the Nittany Lions last year. I don't know that this year is going to be the year, but fortunately, a lot of fans are still excited to get back to the Rock this weekend. Going to be another sold-out crowd under the lights. So we'll see what the future holds. But Indiana football is certainly running out of time to get themselves in position to be back in the bowl this year.
You ain't lying, Sam. Sam says, sadly, we're not 18 anymore. Well, doesn't matter, baby. It doesn't stop me. I'm going to be an idiot. No, but yeah, you're right, man. And it just you were waiting on just something, because they just needed this little bit, Kevin. It wasn't like they needed a lot. They just needed a little something from the offense, some sustained drives that end up in a touchdown, and they get to the red zone, and I don't know what happens, if it's the play calling at that point. We keep hearing the word execution. It wasn't properly executed. Why? These are the same players that were back from last year. This is 6 weeks into the season. Why are you not executing? That's not a valid excuse. And I don't understand what they've scored one touchdown against 3 Big Ten opponents. And this offense is much better than that.
You say the same players, but there are a few players that are different. I mean, Stevie Scott was a good goal line back. He had a nose for the end zone. You're missing that a little bit. Stephen Carr did score the touchdown on that option pitch play, but no Whop Fillier, and you lose DJ Matthews, so you don't have that speed threat right now on the field that you had last year with Fillier and with Matthews early this year. So I think there are some subtle differences that are really hurting offensively compared to last year, but you still do have Ty Freifogel back. The offensive line should be better and is not better. That's been the biggest disappointment of this team. The duress, the fact that Jack Tuttle and Mike Penix have been under duress a lot more this season than they were last season has played a role. And the inability to consistently open holes in the run game, although the run game was a little better, I thought, against Michigan State. They did do some good things, and Childers and Poindexter actually came in, and they had a couple of, popped a couple of big runs in the first half, did a nice job there. But consistently, the consistency of it, the screen passes to nowhere that we've talked about, that I asked Nick Sheridan about, those 1 or 2 yard screens that aren't, really generating much, those are wasted plays.
Forrest asked, who do you all believe is the most experienced and qualified to call offensive plays for, but not by title, but qualification? Of course, the first name's going to come out of your mouth is Delon McCullough, because he was the running backs coach at Kansas City. So he spent that time under that pro offense. Has been at USC. So he's got a great foundation. And I would sure think that, but he was not, I don't know that he knew the offense well enough because he came in later to be in that position. Maybe so. I don't know, but something has got to change because it's just not working right now, what they're doing, whether it's play calling or execution or both. You can call whatever play you want, but if they don't execute, it's not going to work. And then that's why are they not executing? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. None of us do. We just all guessing. So I don't know what they do from here to change.
I think Kevin's got his finger on it when you're pointing at the O-line right now. It's really difficult, no matter who's in the backfield, to execute when you've got guys in your face almost the entire time you're in the pocket. That was probably the biggest thing that happened to IU football from Kevin Wilson on was, fielding a team that looked like it was a Big Ten offensive line. This is a game that's, we make a lot about it, but it's pretty simple at the end of the day. You got to move the ball downfield. And if passing is going to be part of that, your quarterback's got to have time to throw the football. He's got time to make his reads, and he's got to have passing lanes available to him. And at the end of the day, it's hard to look at the IU's offensive line and not see a pretty marked regression over the last several seasons in their ability to keep the quarterback clean and their ability to advance the ball downfield. And I don't know that it's something easily fixable at this point in the season, but at the end of the day, it's going to be really difficult to score more points, to win more games, if the offensive line can't find a way to be a little more effective in protecting the quarterback and opening up some running lanes and moving the football down the field.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You're talking about an offensive line that the last few years, produced NFL guys. Wes Martin, Stepaniak, Kreider's on a practice squad, right?
Spriggs.
It's great. I mean, who is an NFL offensive lineman on this team right now?
Right, and that's the thing. You look at the running backs IU put in the league. It's directly correlated to the number of the linemen IU put in the league. Those are the guys that pave the way for everybody else to succeed. And with the failures they're experiencing up front, you're going to see systemic failures across the board resulting from that.
Absolutely. They just seemed a step slow. They're just a step slow, and guys are getting around and getting through. And it's something that they have to fix, because this is, I'm not going to say it's the most difficult task they faced to date this week, because Penn State may be, who knows, but it's going to be one of the most difficult games they have all season. And they've only got 6 games left. They have to win 4 of those to become bowl eligible. So there's no way you don't start counting games at this point, because if this team doesn't go to a bowl, that is going to be beyond disappointing to Indiana fans. And Tom Allen would definitely feel some pressure about that, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that they have effectively exhausted a lot of the goodwill that they had built up under the Tom Allen era. Now, you can certainly argue that we're going to see a full house this weekend. There's still a lot of people that have belief in the team. There's only so many losses you can take, though. In games where you have the opportunity to win, you put yourself in position to win the game, and ultimately let those fans down. For years we had this chicken or the egg argument about what's it going to take to get IU over the top. Does it have to have fan support, or does it have to have a good team in order to draw the fans in? Well, that's kind of become a moot issue at this point, because you're now seeing multiple sellouts in the same season. You're seeing fan enthusiasm at a pretty high watermark in the program history, and they've got to hold up their end of the deal, and they've got to deliver some wins for the fans, or eventually they're just going to stop showing up. So I'm not saying all hope is lost at this point, but there is certainly a very, very narrow window left for this team in order to deliver on their end of the deal.
Kevin, I know you're
You think about Michigan State and you think about Cincinnati, and I brought up the stat earlier that the defense, Indiana's given up 78 points this year, and the offense has gifted 21 of those points in Big Ten games. The fact that you could have won a lot of 20 to 15, 20 to 16 games if you just take care of the football.
Yeah, I mean that's been the margin in both of those, and that's you talk about margins. That's where's Indiana's trajectory right now? If they've got 2 top 10 wins on the season, it's an entirely different narrative. It's an entirely different story. If they can it's such a razor thin margin of error for this team right now, with the offense, being what it is, and it's quite honestly, it's woefully ineffective in scoring the football.
Absolutely. If they did not go to a bowl game, both of you, Frank, do you think there would be any changes coaching wise?
I think no matter what the outcome of the season is, and that's kind of what I alluded to earlier in talking about the tone of yesterday's press conference. I think it's going to require some really cold, hard self-assessment on what they're doing offensively, and who's making those decisions and what those philosophies are. Because honestly, I mean, we've seen this for years with Indiana, where you have this lopsided balance between offense and defense. There was a period where the offense was on fire and they couldn't stop anything. Now you've got a defense that's proven it's capable of putting you in position to win, but the offense just can't get the ball in the end zone. So no matter what happens, I think it's probably due for some assessment as far as what the program is offensively, what it wants to be, and what it's going to take to get there. I think any program would be foolish not to take a hard look at everything they're doing when given the opportunity. I don't think, from a coaching standpoint, I don't think Tom Allen is anywhere even remotely close to being in the neighborhood of hot seat.
No. I didn't mean him. I meant his. No, yeah.
But the question remains is how long does he stay in that safe zone? Given the amount of resources the university's invested in the program, given where it finds itself in the Big Ten today, and this reshuffling of conference powers, if you will, divisional realignment's always going to be a conversation. They're going to have to take a hard look at who they are, what they want to be, and how they're going to get there. The thing that I circle back to in a lot of these conversations, Tom Allen has been really, really good at identifying talent and absorbing it into his staff. Now, we've struggled to retain the talent for a number of different reasons. Having lost several coordinators over the years who've gone on to have tremendous success. The key is not becoming static in where they are and making those continuous improvements when necessary. And that's one of the colder, harder aspects of this industry is it's a zero-sum game. At the end of the day, you are what your record says you are. And, when your offense is, the second least effective in the Power Five, I think everybody on the offensive side of the staff is going to require some analysis.
Sam hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline saying, I still believe they're the best 2-4 team in the country. Hard to win when you're playing a top 10 team 5 out of the first 7 games. I agree with part of that, but not all of it. They should have beaten Cincinnati. They should have beaten Michigan State. I don't think those teams are top 10 teams. Personally, they're not. And if you had a semblance of offense like we're talking about here, they would have beaten those teams, and they would be 4-2 at worst right now. So I agree with part of that, Sam, but just that part. 2 of those teams weren't top 10 teams. They're not. I watched them. They're just not top 10 teams. You look at Purdue going out and look what they did. Wow, that was a shocker to me. They shut Iowa down in Iowa City, held them to whatever they held them to. 3 points, a field goal. Are you kidding me? Which their offense is not that great either. I said that. Their defense is a monster, but man, Purdue made it look otherwise. And so that's scary because if Purdue gets rolling, that's another game that I was like, all right, here's one of the 4 that I think Indiana can win, was the Purdue game. But if Purdue gets on a roll, that game's at Purdue, that's going to make it rough.
Yeah, and one thing that stood out after that outcome for the Boilermakers, it's amazing what happens when your star players step up and have star performances. David Bell's just an absolute handful Indiana's got some playmakers, but in those big moments, they have to step up and make the big plays. And, we have not seen that on a consistent basis from Indiana this year, considering the amount of talent that they have available to them. There are plenty of guys on the offensive side of the ball that could very well be playing on Sundays in the future. We'll see what those prospects look like at season's end, but they're certainly not doing their stocks any favor right now.
Yeah, George Karlaftis played very well on defense in that game too. Another guy for them that gets to the quarterback, pass rushing guy, and Brad Lambert. They finally, I think, found the right defensive coordinator. They're up there in West Lafayette, and Mark Hagan, the former D-line coach here, is up and out up there with the defense as well. So Jeff Brom has figured some things out, and he's more involved on that side of the ball too. And they're playing much better defense up there, which is certainly concerning for the Bucket game.
Well, buddy, I know we got to let you go so you can get back to rehabbing and working both. So thank you a ton as always. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you next week.
We'll catch you guys then. Take care.
Thanks, brother. Chronic Hoosier joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by the great folks at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Make sure you get out to Andy Moore, get a great deal, AndyMooreHonda.com. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration or just... Oh, shit. You ever worn a TENS unit?
Or what?
It's called a TENS, T-E-N-S. Ow. It's one of those things that sticks on you, the electrodes, pulse. Yeah. Well, I've got it on 4. It goes to 10. Put it on 5, it makes me jump out of the seat.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Is that one of those?
Yes.
I feel like I'm going to be
and you can easily
mistaken.
Miss the dial and go the wrong way. And it doesn't do anything. It just scares the crap out of you because you jack it up. You're like, yeah. Like the other night when I was changing batteries, I'd been messing with it and that battery was dead. So I changed batteries. Well, it was on and it just came right on at like an 8. And I thought it was an electric chair and all I could do was jerk the wires out and throw it down. Holy crap. It's funny. Oh, Noah Clowney moves his date one day. I think that's got to be because of Halloween.
Was there anything new? Didn't Kevin say something about he added Florida to his list or something?
Florida was looking at him a few months ago. Let's see what his list is now.
Wait.
I wonder if he's related to Jadeveon Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney?
Yeah. That's a big
They're from the same state, aren't they?
Carolina,
They played in the same state.
Where's he from? Where's Jadeveon from?
They're from South Carolina. He's from Rock Hill, yeah. Which is like a suburb of Charlotte.
I guarantee you they got to be related then. Yeah, Rock Hill's right across the border.
Virginia Tech, Alabama, Indiana, Georgia Tech, South Carolina. So Florida's not in the final 5. Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
Maybe
really
he had
matter?
to move.
Because South Carolina has no freaking shot of getting him unless they're paying him, unless he's got a big time deal. And now that IU has all those NIL deals.
Yeah, South Carolina might have some NIL deals. You never know.
The 31st is a Sunday. Maybe he'd rather be at school on Monday the 1st and do it. Who knows? You know how they set up those announcements and stuff, so who knows?
Down. Or how about a brand new 2021 Honda Passport? Also 0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by AAA Insurance. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here, brought to you by AAA Insurance. We all need insurance. Get some by someone who cares about you. Reach out to our friends at AAA Insurance. If you're in the Southern Indiana, Evansville, Southern Illinois area, 812-477-9966. That's 812-477-9966. Or where's my lost the email? Should have been on there, but just give them a call. They're great guys. And remember, support those who support us. That's how we are able to bring this stuff, the content to you guys, man. Looking forward to that. Jadeveon Clowney.
Noah Clowney.
But they have to be relatives because they're from the same state. That can't be a coincidence. But Noah Clowney has moved his decision date one day from October 31st to November 1st. October 31st is obviously Halloween, but it's also on a Sunday. So there's a lot of things that I could see why you wouldn't do it on that day. Why would you not see that when you made the thing? You know, Sunday, what's Sunday? You know it's a Sunday when you make it. So I'm not sure why it's moved a day. When it's moved a day, that usually means it's for convenience sake, I would say, because unless somebody's trying to get him to visit somewhere else. Kevin.
Yeah, I was trying to look up and see if he's related to Jadeveon Clowney. I have not seen that, but there's a question actually on one of the forums as to whether he is or not, and one of the rivals, the Hoosier.com. But people were asking that question on one of your forums. So October 31st, Halloween is a Sunday this year. So so it would make sense to do it on Monday. You do it on a school day. That would probably work good for just exposure. Sometimes, a lot of times, these kids do these assemblies, right, where they go and they sign the scholarship in front of the kids and stuff. So why not do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find out if they are related or not, and why the date change for him, if possibly.
Yeah,
find out about that. But
October 30th, by the way, is supposed to be the secret scrimmage against Belmont in Louisville for Indiana basketball. But as you know, your intrepid reporter Alec Lasley reported the Cincinnati game was canceled over the weekend, right, because of the injury issues, and so Mike Woodson's team is a little banged up here in preseason camp. Yeah,
you'd sure think that they'd want to get one of these in, though, if at all possible. They I know that they want to get one of those in, and to see where they are.
Belmont would be good because perimeter defense, defending the three. They've always had a ton of shooters there. Rick Bird, you could really get out on the perimeter. You'd really have to get out on the perimeter and defend them. So I think that would be a really good kind of early tune-up too, because you're going to be facing some, perimeter teams in St. John's and Syracuse and Notre Dame and the non-conference schedule. Marshall too, who's a sneaky good team. They're not bad in Conference USA, and they've got a kid, Tavion Kinsey at Marshall, who might be an NBA draft pick. So those would be the main, I think, non-conference tests for the Hoosiers, heading into Big Ten play.
I wonder where that game would be played. My guess would be at Bellarmine University. They have about a 3,000 seat. May not be that big. Arena where they play their games. It's a nice little intimate. It looks like a good Indiana high school gym. So that would be my best get, because you're not going to want to go rent out the Yum Center.
No,
because that would be too costly. And
are there any junior colleges there or no? Or
I think Bellarmine would probably be the most. Unless they played it at a Southern Indiana high school. You got gyms that are bigger than that in Southern Indiana, right across the river. Jeffersonville, Floyd Central, New Albany, they all have gyms bigger than that. So Jeffersonville's holds like 5,000, I think. 5,500. New Albany is.
They open up Freedom Hall.
So.
They
could. Like Freedom Hall is a good one. I forgot about Freedom Hall. If it's because if the court's down, but I doubt they have the court down there, and I don't know. Well, they've got the North American Livestock Show coming in to Freedom Hall to
the fairgrounds.
It's like a 3-week stock show, the Northern International Livestock Show. So that Freedom Hall will be filled with dirt
Yep.
So it won't be there.
So you probably have a lot of Freedom Hall stories, I'm guessing, from growing up in Southern Indiana.
Oh, I saw Van Halen there, man, in 1984. You kidding me? The Originals.
How about that?
So a lot of people there. Yeah, I did not get to see the Kentucky Colonels used to play there.
Yeah,
that's where they played their games.
Freedom
Hall is an iconic arena.
Yeah, I covered a Florida Louisville game there in 2003, my first year on the beat, and I'm walking courtside, and guess who's sitting courtside? The Golden Ball, Paul Harding, the late Paul Harding, was sitting courtside because he's from Louisville, and I guess he had courtside seats for those games.
Oh, he was looked at as a deity in Louisville, man.
Yeah,
no question. Forrest comments that with all the injuries Indiana basketball has had last several years, it makes him question Cliff Marshall's training regimen. I don't know that these guys are getting hurt in training. It's just that athletics is hard, man. When you go hard, you go hard. I mean, I don't think Indiana's the only team that has injuries, but there have been a lot of but the Rob Finney thing, or he had a concussion. You can't train for that. There are some things you just can't. It doesn't matter.
We also had an abdominal issue, right? 1 year before the season. Yeah. The concussion was during the season, but I think too, like, I guess, you always heard rumblings that Archie really kind of worked him hard in practice, but apparently, and then I asked Mike Whitson that question at media day, and he was just basically said, hey, look, there's only one way I know how to coach. You got to coach them hard. And if you pray injuries don't happen, but if they happen, they happen. I mean, that's another aspect of it too. It's how hard do you practice? And, I'm sure Mike Whitson is trying to create that physical defensive mindset. And when you do that, bodies bang and things happen, unfortunately. And I think that's what you're going through, but a little bit more of a mystery to Archie because he played the back line, right? You wouldn't think people would get hurt, doing that. But I think when you're on the ball like that and so forth, maybe these things happen and your guys get a little banged up.
Getting back to Noah Clowney, Sam asked, how concerning is it that his last official visit is to Alabama? I don't know. I mean, they're a good team. They get up and down the floor. They shoot a lot of threes, but I think Indiana's going to get up and down the floor. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. Probably not as many as Alabama does because that's their game is the shooting from the perimeter. I mean, it'd be a good spot for him, but I think Alabama and Indiana are the two top spots. But the coach there is not Mike Whitson. That coach there did not play in the NBA. He didn't coach in the NBA. So Mike Whitson has a leg up on that, and it comes through when he talks to you.
He's a pretty good college coach. I got him the Sweet 16 and took UCLA to overtime last year, though. I mean, he's Nate Oates. I mean, he's pretty good. I will say that. And I will say that, obviously Alabama is coming off a Sweet 16 season, too. And if winning in college is important to the kid, you look at that and you look to compared to where Indiana is. But if you want exposure, you go to Indiana because Alabama, you're just, you're always going to be the stepchild to Nick Saban and the football team. I think that's
with one big exception.
What kind of kid is he in regards to that? And if you want the exposure and you want to be in a place where you're the big man on campus and you're loved, you come to Indiana. That's no question.
Yeah, I think that Alabama basketball can't compare to what he saw here. So, yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Coleman Coliseum seats like maybe I've been there like 10,000, and for non-conference games you'd be lucky to get like 5,000 or 6,000 in the building. So,
let's see. New commenter, hadn't seen Freddie before. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you. Says something is going on internally in the offense. Not sure if it's the coaching or players, maybe both. The same offensive plays have players who put up 500 yards against Ohio State last year aren't producing. Talk about football there, and thanks a lot for jumping on, Freddie. We appreciate you. I've said that. I mean, there's you got some guys that are gone, but
some guys that are injured too. Don't forget, who had a big game in that Ohio State game.
You still there's too many drops. Ty Farfogel is dropping the ball too much. The line is not blocking. They're not calling. Here's what drives me nuts. Why aren't they running rollout plays? I keep saying this over and over. You've got to help a guy that can run in Jack Tuttle.
Yeah.
And roll him out.
That
rollout flare passes.
Yeah.
Jet sweeps.
Yeah, that rollout boot to the tight end with Hendershot always works. And it worked with Penix in the Cincinnati game. And we don't see that enough. And instead we see these screen passes that go nowhere. Like I said, and some of them, some of them hit, but not all of them do, and a lot more of them are stopped at the line of scrimmage. You're not even getting any gains on them.
I think Indiana may have the slowest no huddle offense in the country when they no huddle. They just don't huddle. That's it. They're not fast. It's not tempo. Yeah. And I was talking to Mitchell Page last night, and I said, okay, if you're in a position where your offensive line is not doing a very good job, you have to do something different that works with that. Roll out passes, jet sweeps, flare passes that work, bootlegs, play action, do something different. And there hasn't been that difference. And I don't understand that, because it's like beating your head against the wall and still beating your head against the wall. It's not going to work. Hasn't worked. And it's not going to change.
To be fair, the first 3 Big Ten teams that they faced have all been good defenses. Iowa, Michigan State, and Penn State, all good defensive teams with defensive talent. Ohio State has shown that they have holes defensively. If you don't execute against Ohio State, then I think that really says that your offense, because I think they could score on Ohio State, but I think the issue is Ohio State's so explosive offensively. I can't see Indiana, holding them to 20 like they did against Michigan State. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this could be a higher scoring game this weekend, where you could see like a 30-20 type game instead of like a 20-15 type game. But the other issue too with Ohio State is, even though they're suspect defensively, they do have playmakers. So Tuttle can't, have that one bad throw, because Ohio State will get another pick six. And that's been, that's the other thing too. When you gift these Big Ten teams points, it's just so deflating for your defense too. That's been fighting hard the whole game to shut these teams down, but you give up points on the board because you could have been up, Tuttle makes a better decision. You're up 9-0, 12-0 at the half instead of 9-7, and you make a few more plays in the red zone. You might be up 17-0.
Reese Taylor, Tywan Mullen didn't have those guys.
Yeah.
That makes a difference, but yet didn't have them. And yet the defense still gutted it out and made things happen and did a great job.
I'll tell you, Noah Pierre is showing us something at that second corner spot. Had that interception in the end zone late in the game. He had 9 tackles. You talk about a guy
after it, man. They tried to target him. They went after him, and he responded well.
Yeah, and he played very well. And Jalen Williams, he goes from being the third cornerback now to the lead cornerback. The secondary. But I think the front seven and their ability to get pressure has helped the secondary along through these injuries. And you just got to keep your fingers crossed and hope that Reese and Tywan come back.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back with one more segment after we come back. Make sure you give our friends at AAA a call if you're down in southern Indiana, southwest by Evansville, southern Illinois. 812-477-9966. That's 812-477-9968. Get insured by someone who cares about you and that supports Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
Kevin, I was looking on that forum right when you were looking, because I think I saw that you had liked a comment.
Did I like it?
Or maybe you were just viewing it. I don't know. But I was like, I was just on that same forum.
Yeah, so I was looking to see if they were related.
Yeah.
I got so much to do this week. This is a crazy week.
And I got a catch-up week for you being off last week.
Yeah, well, and I got the deadline for these 2 pages, and I have a computer issue. My work computer. I thought I have this backup, but my work computer. I have to send it up to Anderson tomorrow. I have to drive to Anderson. So
that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What?
Put it in a effing box and ship it, man.
Yeah.
Why would you drive to Anderson and spend all that money and gas and time, and you can put it in a box and ship it, and it'll be there tomorrow?
Well, I'll meet up with the editor too and stuff and everything. And I'll pop my face in there. I haven't been in there in a while, so
Little pop in.
yeah.
Little pop in.
I can do like they say in Seinfeld, the airing of grievances. Yeah.
Little pop in.
Little pop in. Everybody's got to have a little pop in.
I threw up McMars again.
Yeah.
Little pop in. Nope. That would scare. That's like for Halloween, man.
I know, man.
If I shipped it, I mean, who knows when I would get it back. This way, if I'm up there and they can fix it, reasonably in that same day, I can get it back and stuff.
We should make all of our Friday guests before Halloween wear costumes.
You could do creepy Tom Crean. You could do Purdue Pete.
Oh, Purdue Pete, the Hilltopper.
Hoosier Pride. I don't know if I have the Hilltopper in here off the top.
Hoosier Pride.
The Hilltopper is the Blob, man.
Yeah,
I know, but I don't have him on here, like on my.
But I don't understand how that came to. I guess they didn't want to have a Hilltopper. Was probably
it's supposed to be a hill. Yeah, you want to know what? No, because you weren't there, but I was at WKU, and I know why it's called the Hilltopper. It's not because the campus is on top of a hill, like the big building. Yeah,
I went to Floyd Central High School, and we were the Highlanders.
Yeah,
because we're up on the hill overlooking.
Yep.
Everybody else.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. If you're down in the southern Indiana area around Clarksville, make sure you stop in at Bubba's 33. They got some great fresh food all the time.
Yep.
Kevin's been there, right?
Bubba's, yeah. Not in Greenwood.
Oh, one of the other ones.
Yeah.
Well, they don't sponsor, so heck with them.
Yeah.
What was that
house, right? That's the whole chain.
I was looking for something I'd sent out, but what are you working on right now?
Yeah, I mentioned a lot of the Big Ten preview pages that we're doing one for men and for women. So, obviously we had access to all the women's coaches at Big Ten Media Day, which was nice as well. So we will do some stories about the league and obviously Allie Papberg and Grace Berger and the Hoosiers heading into talk about another big season of expectations. Hopefully it goes a little better than football, but a lot of high expectations for Terry Moore and squad this year coming into off their Elite Eight appearance.
Yeah. You get a little pressure when you start having.
Yeah, exactly. No question.
But like that.
The Big Ten in general is fairly is a fairly strong league. 4 Sweet 16 teams last year in women's basketball, and Indiana going all the way to the Elite Eight. Maryland is always tough with Brenda Freese as a coach, and it'll be another battle for the Hoosiers going through the season.
It is. Oh, how about this? I saw this yesterday. Notre Dame pulls down a gigantic recruit. I mean, it's a 4-star, J.J. Starling, but he picks Notre Dame over Duke, Maryland, and Syracuse. That's a get for Notre Dame.
Mike Bray, yeah. A lot of rumors about him retiring and so forth, or that it's kind of the program has slipped a little bit the last few years, but. Obviously, that recruit had belief that Bray and his staff are going to be there, and that they're gonna build back up this year. And I'll tell you what, I really liked when we watched Indiana All Stars last summer. Blake Wesley, I like him a lot. I like his game tremendously, and I think he's going to help. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to step in as a freshman up there in South Bend and play well right away. And Indiana's got him in the last Crossroads game right in December on in December 18th up at. Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So what do you think about the end of the Crossroads Classic?
It's too late. It should have happened a long time ago. the teams can never be good at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like usually one team was good out of that rotation.
Yeah.
And if they were good, it would be incredible.
They were all
But
at the same time. Yeah.
Notre Dame's down. Butler's been down. Purdue's been rising up, of course. Indiana's been mediocre. So there's just not a lot of excitement there. But more importantly, it took away the opportunity for Indiana to play in much bigger
Yeah.
projects like the Michigan State and Ohio State have been a part of. Trust me, they want Indiana. The TV networks want Indiana. Even when they're not at their best, they still want Indiana because it is a name. And it is a blue blood name. Yeah.
Yeah, they want the ratings, yeah.
So this will open up the opportunity for Indiana to have an even better pre-conference schedule.
Yeah. I think too, the 20 Big Ten games and how that plays into it too, having those 2 games in December. That's that makes things a little tougher in terms of with your balancing your non-conference schedule, I think too, because you got those 2 Big Ten games stuck in there in December, and I
don't get that. So I do that.
Sometimes they're weaker opponents, but and like they get Nebraska to start, but at Wisconsin's going to be no picnic, even though Wisconsin could be a little down this year. So you have that, to go along with Syracuse at the end of November in the Carrier Dome, and then you've got obviously the St. John's game here in mid-November, and Notre Dame in the Crossroads Classic. So all of a sudden that late November, early December schedule looks a lot tougher than you think. Because you have those 2 Big Ten games kind of wedged in there.
Yeah, I wonder what is the first thing they could possibly appear in, because these things are scheduled so far out now. Yeah. But when you get CBS or ESPN involved, they can make anything happen that they want to make happen.
Yeah,
it will. If there's any kind of a conflict, they'll get it fixed. But it would be, and now is probably the right time actually. For Indiana, it would not have been good if Indiana had been playing in those type of things over the last couple of years, nor would it have been good for Indiana to be playing Kentucky over these last few years. I'll tell you, they would have got their butts handed to them year in and year out, because they just have not had a team that could do much. So hopefully this is a different era for Indiana fans, and they can get back to playing in those things and playing those types of teams.
I think Indiana should extend an olive branch and do the game with Kentucky and Lucas Oil one year, just to see how it goes. And
Calipari's not going to play Kentucky. I'm telling you, he's not playing Indiana. Period. I think
he has said on record he will play him in Indianapolis. The issue is Assembly Hall. The issue was
right. I know, but how long ago was that?
Yeah,
I think that's changed. I don't think I think he's close enough to getting out. He's not going to play because Indiana, I think that Indiana is going to be fine under Mike Woodson. That's just my opinion. But I think that they're going to slowly rise as a program. And I think that anybody I think Calipari will know that as well. And he's not going to want to play them now. He's had them off. He's not going to go out with losses to Indiana. He's not going to do it. But he is going to go out with that loss at the Assembly Hall. So, but
exactly. So why, I don't understand from that standpoint, because, he could have trounced him in 2015 and, 2016 to 2018. We'll see what kind of squad that Kentucky has this year, but I do think that game has to get back on. They have to do it somewhere, or do it at the Yum Center, whatever. Just do one game, and it's kind of that's how I would handle it. Just to throw the fans a bone. I mean, it's well past time. Just do it, get it done. Scott Dolson, Mitch Barnhart, find a way to meet some common ground. Calipari, Woodson. I mean, Calipari, I guess, he was close with Archie, and I think he kind of knows Woodson too from the NBA.
I don't know. I don't think I would say close. I don't think anyone is close to Archie. They knew each other.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I think I would go.
Well, they both have a Pittsburgh background. Calipari has a Pittsburgh background, says Archie. Yeah.
Right, but he's like 30 years older than
20, Archie. 30 years older. Yeah. Yeah.
So, wonder what he's doing now. Counting? 26, 27, 28, 29.
He's got that podcast host, right? He's done that podcast thing, and he's
Whoa, stop. A regular deal? I thought he was just doing a one-off with
Goodman or whatever. Yeah, with the Field of 68 or doing something. But I have been told that he is incredibly bored and that he is at home and working out like a maniac. That's the last intel that I got. Yeah.
Well,
he does not want to talk to anyone from the IU beat, I don't think, either.
He didn't want to do that when he was here.
Yeah.
Working out is not going to make him any taller. Well, all right, man. That's enough of that. Enjoy it, though. The Colts got to have another injury.
Paris Campbell.
They got to replace. How about the return of T.Y. Hilton? Was that timely? Man, they did great.
He's the spark to that offense, and Jonathan Taylor's great. Maybe I might gander up in a few weeks. For as bad as the Jets are, it'll be a chance to see him live. So maybe I'll go to that Thursday night game up in Lucas Oil. And I've never done an NFL game in Lucas Oil. That'd be fun just to see what it's like and see my Jets, see Zach Wilson throw another 3 picks, and the Colts will get back to 500, right? They'll be climbing back up. That was really the Bills thing is really kind of a bummer for Colts fans, because if the Bills would have won that game, you'd have Tennessee at 3-3 and the Colts at 2-4. But it's still, especially with the 17th game now, it's still a very winnable division for the Colts to creep back into. If they just play well the next couple of weeks, and they've certainly got some games where they can get right, including that Thursday night game against the Jets in Indy. November 4th.
The Indy Star has a thing out today with the Indiana high school college alums in the NBA for this season. Memphis Grizzlies guard John Concher. You got his teammate Jaren Jackson Jr. Wait a minute, and a third? Are you kidding me? There's 3 Indiana high school alums on the Memphis Grizzlies. How the hell does that happen?
How about that?
High school. Desmond Bain is number 3. That cracks me up. 3 players from Indiana that are Indiana high school. You want to talk about that's it? That's why Indiana basketball. That's why it means more in this state. I don't care what anybody says. It just does. Eric Gordon, Mike Conley, Cody Zellers with the Blazers now. Thomas Bryant still with the Wizards. Orlando Magic guard Etwan Moore from Purdue. Orlando Magic guard Gary Harris. Victor Oladipo with Miami. Gordon Hayward with the Hornets. Milwaukee's George Hill.
Romeo with the Celtics.
Milwaukee. I hadn't even got to him. Pat Cunningham. Detroit Pistons, Trey Lyles, who committed to Indiana originally. Dylan Windler from the Cavs. Jeez, it goes on.
Great shooter.
Anunoby. OG Anunoby is not Indiana high school alum, so I don't know what that's about. He played his college in Indiana.
Maybe it's a combination high school and college.
You're right. High school, college alums. My apologies. But that's still let's see, where was I? Gordon Hayward, George Hill, Pat Connaughton, I said that, Trey Lyles, Dylan Windler, OG Anunoby, Aaron Henry, Romeo Langford, and that's the last of them. That's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot. But that's we expect a mistake.
It's like Florida in football, Indiana in basketball. They just produce so many great talented players, and that's why it's recruiting. Though it's important to get the right ones. You got to weed out, and get the right ones. And I think you talk about the big 3, the Florida. People brought up about the Florida football not being ranked in the top 25. That is probably related to a lot of misevaluations in recruiting, which certainly plagued Archie during his tenure. A lot of misevaluations in recruiting.
Absolutely. No doubt, no question of there. I don't think that is the case now. You've got 4 guys that are doing one heck of a bang-up job on that end. But it will be interesting to see what happens with Noah Clowney. That'd be a nice get for Indiana, and that would really round out. Seriously, that would make you really happy if you're a coach or going into that next season.
Just remember this, recruit Nicks. For those of you, not all 4 and 5 stars are the same.
Nope. They do not always.
You know what I mean? And some of them are 4 and 5 stars in name only.
They're let's see. Sam says they have 3 Indiana recruits that are playing there at Montverde Academy outside of Orlando. Doesn't shock me.
Well, Jordan Hill is committed. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Who are the other 2? They're Sam. Send those on. I can't remember. I know there was. I remember one of those. I remember one being another one, but I don't remember the third one. But that's what you have to do. You have to get the best, but you also have to get the best that fits into your system and works with what you're doing. But I think that's not going to be difficult for Mike Woodson because he has a little looser structure offensively, but it's just a decision making like it was under the motion offense when Bob Knight ran that. You have to make the right decisions. But there's not a right decision that is known beforehand. It's at that moment, and that's what it takes.
Billy Donovan ran a motion offense at Florida. He used to say, with freedom comes responsibility. That's what it is. It's, the whole thing, like you get the freedom to create, but you've got to be responsible and make the right decision.
Well, with fun comes this show because it has been another great one, man. It flew by, and I cannot thank you enough. Big thanks to Chronic Hoosier and Mike DeCourcy, of course. Make sure you go follow him on the Sporting News, and give me a follow, please, on Twitter, Jim Coyle at ISB, and you can see Kevin's Twitter handle. I can't even read it without glasses, at Kevin Brockway G1. He is the G-man. But, please give me a follow if you haven't already. Would appreciate it. But until tomorrow, for Kevin, Mike, Chronic, John, the producer, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.